The Carolina Hurricanes, a team in the midst of a season that can be summarized with one single term: cup or bust. For years, Carolina has been a serious playoff contender, a consistent force in the Metro Division that ultimately has fallen short of their goal. But this year feels different. The Hurricanes have one of the best structured rosters league-wide, and their recent blockbuster deal has only supported this statement even further. With an improved offense, a well above average coach, and arguably the best blue line in the NHL, the expectations for this year's Carolina Hurricanes are sky high. But should you buy into this team's hype, or are they not as great as their roster suggests on paper? Well, today, let's talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. What's great about this team, what needs to improve, and whether or not they have enough to compete with some of the other top teams in the league during this year's playoffs. The Carolina Hurricanes are one of the most interesting teams to pay attention to. They've been in contention since 2019, but over the past couple of years, they've been making some serious trades and going all in on their rosters. Last year it was Jake Guentzel, and this year they've arguably stepped it up even further, acquiring Mikko Rantanen in a blockbuster trade. But is this enough to push the Carolina Hurricanes through to reach their ultimate goal of winning a Stanley Cup? Well, let's see if we can figure that out. But before we do, we are so close to hitting 20,000 subscribers here on this channel. So if you guys want to watch more fun hockey content like this and continue supporting me, go ahead and hit that like button now and subscribe to the channel. And with all that being said, let's break down the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes have always had a respectable offense, but this year, it's a different beast altogether. The acquisition of Mikko Rantanen in the blockbuster trade for Martin Necas is undeniably game-changing. Rantanen, known for his elite shot and finishing ability, slots seamlessly into the Hurricanes system, improving one of their team's most mediocre stats, their power play. He's a sniper who can score from anywhere on the ice, a perfect complement to the existing stars like Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov. The Canes made a similar deal last season acquiring Jake Guentzel, and while he was impactful during their playoff run, in the end he wasn't enough to get them any further, and sadly left in free agency to play for Tampa. This year the Canes doubled down in their attempts to improve offensively, and while Guentzel was a great pickup last year, Rantanen can provide the team with something that they've lacked for years: a consistent 100-point scorer with a ton of playoff experience and a ton of drive. Something else that hasn't been talked about enough when it comes to this deal is the acquisition of Taylor Hall. Hall is still a phenomenal player, despite whatever stats he may have had in Chicago. He's the exact kind of player that Cup teams dream of having on their third line, and even as their winger on their second line in some cases. Hall is coming off a knee injury that has definitely slowed him down a bit to start the year, but with the Hurricanes acquiring him sooner than the deadline, he should have time to acclimate to their system and be ready to go at a high level in the playoffs. Now, a slight downside to all of this is the potential of Rantanen not re-signing and losing Necas in the midst of it all. Clearly, Rantanen is an upgrade from Necas, but Necas was signed to a much more team-friendly deal and allowed the team to have a bit more wiggle room with their cap, and likely would have made far less when it comes to him signing his next deal compared to Rantanen. So with this, the Canes now have to find a way to re-sign Rantanen following this season, because if they don't, they'll lose out on two high-quality players in the process of making this move. Now, obviously, bringing in Mikko Rantanen was a smart decision, but there's still something that we need to talk about with this move. Rantanen is going to be a UFA in the offseason, and Carolina isn't really known for giving their players massive contracts. And if Rantanen is going to want around $14 million a season, I'm not sure if Carolina is going to pay that, especially if they don't perform well in this year's playoffs. Last year we saw it with Jake Guentzel. He seemed like a flawless fit with this organization, but decided to leave for Tampa Bay in the offseason. So if the same thing happens this year where Carolina gets bounced in the first or second round, or even the ECF, then there's a good chance that Rantanen will walk. Now, if we're talking about a percentage here for Rantanen re-signing, not to alarm people, but I feel like it's kind of 50-50. And I feel like if they don't have a good playoff run, then there's a very strong chance that we see Rantanen test the open market. And even if they do have a good playoff run, I'm not sure if he's dedicated to staying in Carolina. Obviously, he was shocked by the news and trade from Colorado, and maybe his heart just isn't there, considering the fact he didn't have any decision in where he would be sent. So let's talk a little bit more about this team and how they can actually go deep in the playoffs based on a different identity outside of Rantanen and this offense. For the past 5 years, this team has consistently had one of the league's most reliable blue lines. Veterans like Jacob Slavin and Brent Burns anchor their defense with experience, leadership, and exceptional defensive acumen. Their ability to shut down opponents' top lines, neutralize their power plays, and clear the zone efficiently is crucial to this team's overall success. It's not just about individual talent or skill. It's about the system and the culture that has been built in Raleigh. Coach Rod Brindamore has installed a defensive structure that prioritizes positional discipline, smart gap control, and strong back-checking. The Canes have also been one of the least penalized teams all year long and have the best penalty kill in the league right now at a kill rate of 86%. This structure, combined with their culture and their talent on their blue line, gives the Hurricanes arguably the best defensive system in the league and therefore a huge advantage heading into the playoffs because, as we all know, defenses win championships. The one area of potential concern, though it feels like it's significantly less concerning this year than in previous years, is their goaltending. We've talked about this numerous times in the past. Frederik Andersen, when healthy, is a proven starter capable of stealing games. However, his injury history remains a question mark and a potential huge concern for the Canes going into the playoffs. This is where Pyotr Kochetkov comes in. The young Russian netminder has shown flashes of brilliance and has a lot of personality and edge to his game, but has only seen a limited amount of ice time, and while hasn't really proven himself to be a true starter enough to be a reliant goaltender on a cup-winning team. So overall, this tandem presents a bit of an unknown, but also offers a potential huge upside if they're playing at their best. The key will be to manage Andersen's workload carefully, while also allowing Kochetkov to gain some valuable experience through the season. If you don't want to run with these two in the playoffs and you don't feel confident, then it might be time to make a trade to get a more stable presence in net. But one way or the other, this could be a huge strength or a huge weakness for this cup contending team, depending on how things work out with their goaltender's health. The Carolina Hurricanes are on the precipice of something special. They want to bring the cup back to Raleigh. They have the talent, they have the coaching, and the structure to make a genuine Stanley Cup run. This isn't just going to be a playoff push for the Canes this year. They've made a statement with this trade, so it's cup or bust now. The question is, will they seize the moment? But that's my deep dive of the Hurricanes and why I think this year is cup or bust for Carolina. As always though, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think that Carolina is a serious contender this year? Do you think that Mikko Rantanen is going to re-sign with the organization? And do you feel like this roster is really that much improved with the upgrade of Rantanen over Necas? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like this one and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I will see you guys in the next episode.